Hi there, and a very warm welcome to the first ever podcast of Society Girl Saves the Day.
So sweet.
The film we are talking about today is a product from 1978, an Urdu-Pakistani film by the name of Playboy. The movie was released on the occasion of Eid and was produced and directed by the very successful leading lady from the 60s and the 50s, Shamim Ara, who had turned to direction in the 1970s and had cast an array of the top stars of the 70s, leading with hero Nadeem, Babra Sharif, who was gaining popularity by the minute, supported by Asif Raza Mir and veterans Talish and comedian Nanna, along with Nadia making her debut. What's the movie all about? Well, judging by its poster, it's clearly evident that the movie was partially set in the United Kingdom. Its storyline focuses on the diaspora of Pakistanis emigrating from Pakistan to Britain in the 50s, 60s and 70s, seeking a better life. But in this particular case, there are major complications. The story is about young and dashing Tony, played by Nadeem, who has left Pakistani shores to seek a better life and opportunities in England. In the opening scenes of the film, we see that a traditional middle-class Pakistani family is awaiting the return of their son by the name of Tariq, played by Nadeem, to Pakistan from England, where he's supposedly or hopefully amassed a small fortune for himself and will be returning into the loving and devoted arms of wife Aisha, played by Babra Sharif, who is also eagerly anticipating his return. But when they go to the airport to receive Tariq along with his friend Jamshed, played by Asif Raza Mir, who is also making his cinematic debut with Playboy, they find that Tariq has not returned, and Jamshed, also known as Jimmy, explains to them that Tony is in danger of becoming blinded by the bright lights of Britain, the clubs, the casinos, the gambling, the cinemas, the discotheques and so on, and he's very much enamored by the westernized lifestyle, which is in danger of turning him into a playboy.
मैं आपको धोखा नहीं देना चाहता। तारिक का पाकिस्तान आने का कोई इरादा नहीं।
कैसे कैसे वादे करके गया था। वहाँ जाकर पढ़ूंगा, काम करूंगा, ढेर सारे रुपए लेकर बहुत जल्द वापस आ जाऊंगा। मगर ना तो उसको माँ की मोहब्बत रही, ना बीवी का ख्याल। ये भी नहीं सोचता दुनिया क्या कहेगी। उसका तो खून सफेद हो गया है।
बहन, वहाँ का तो पानी ऐसा है, क्या किया जाए?
मैं सोचती हूँ जमशेद के साथ आयशा को लंदन भेज दूँ।
And this, of course, causes great consternation, especially with his wife Aisha, who decides then and there that she is going to return to London with Jamshed and try and rescue her husband Tariq from the clutches of the evil westernized lifestyle and reform him and hopefully bring him back one day to Pakistan where he belongs. Aisha arrives in London with Jamshed, quite excited at seeing the big bustling city, but her initial excitement is tempered when she comes to stay with an old uncle of hers by the name of Mr. Beg, who has a story to tell of his own.
मुझे ऐसे लड़कों पर गुस्सा भी आता है और तरस भी, जो रोजी कमाने के लिए वतन से निकलते हैं और मगरिब की चमक दमक देखकर भटक जाते हैं। कभी मैं भी रोजी कमाने के लिए वतन से यहाँ आया और यहाँ की रंगीनियों में गुम हो गया। मैंने यहाँ दौलत कमाई, ऐश भी की, एक अंग्रेज लड़की से शादी की और एक बेटी का बाप बन गया। समझा था जिंदगी इसी तरह मुझ पर मेहरबान रहेगी, लेकिन जिसे मैं अपनी खुशनसीबी समझ रहा था, वो मेरी बदनसीबी का आगाज था। माँ की गोद ही बच्चे की तरबियत गाह होती है। मुमताज की माँ ने न उसे पाकिस्तानी रहने दिया और न अंग्रेज। रही सही कसर माहौल ने पूरी कर दी। चंद साल बाद माँ तो मर गई, लेकिन बेटी के खून में अपना जहर छोड़ गई। वो आज भी अपनी मंजिल की तलाश में भटक रही है।
The unfortunate Mr. Baig arrived in Britain in his youth and was also prone as a young man to falling prey to the bright lights of the big bad city, and he lost his way morally and ended up marrying a British young lady with whom he fathered a child, and that child, Mumtaz as her name is now, has grown up as a mixed up and confused Desi young woman and has not been grounded in the values of Eastern culture as her father would have liked, and is in fact, quote unquote, poisoned by the blood of the English woman who was also her mother and has since passed away. But Mumtaz is completely off the rails, and he laments about the fact that she is now dangerously westernized, and her attitudes and indeed independence has become a thorn in his flesh.
मम्मी कहाँ थी अब तक?
एंजॉय कर रही थी।
शरीफ की रातों को घर से बाहर नहीं रहा करती।
शरीफ लड़कियां कहाँ है वो?
कहाँ थी?
जी, हिप्पियों के जॉइंट में।
मैंने तुम्हें कितनी बार मना किया है कि वहाँ मत जाया करो।
Who are you to order me?
मम्मी ऐसा नहीं कहते। After all, he's your father.
You shut up.
He also warns Aisha that though she had imagined that everything about Britain was supposed to be like heaven, it is not the case, and heaven can only exist back at home. So Aisha is brought back down to earth with a little bit of a bump, but she is determined, and her efforts to rescue her husband from the westernized debauchery is a plan that is just about to be set into motion. Next up, we are introduced to the lifestyle of Momi, who is a free-spirited woman, frittering her life away with the dirty hippies in dubious joints where she dances up a storm, singing songs about living for the moment and living life to the fullest while she can, without any worry about the future or consequences.
मम्मी, जानती हो वक्त क्या हुआ है?
Yeah, 1:30.
पूछ सकता हूँ इतनी रात गए तक कहाँ थी?
मैं इस सवाल से तंग आ चुकी हूँ।
मम्मी, मैं तुम्हारा बाप हूँ और मुझे तुम्हारी यार के...
ओके, अगर आपको पसंद नहीं है तो मैं यहाँ से चली जाऊँ। मैं तुम्हारे शेल्टर की मोहताज नहीं हूँ मिस्टर बेग, मैं भी चली जाऊंगी।
मम्मी, मेरा मतलब ये नहीं है बेटी, मुझे समझने की कोशिश करो।
आप मुझे समझने की कोशिश क्यों नहीं करते? Why don't you understand me? इस मुल्क के कानून में मुझे अपनी मर्जी से जिंदगी गुजारने का पूरा हक है। If you don't like it, I can leave this place. I can go anywhere I like.
Her words a world apart from the strict conservative norms of a good, upright and obedient Pakistani daughter like Aisha. Mr. Baig, Momi's miserable and rather distraught father, is frequently lecturing her about hanging out with filthy hippies, telling her that this isn't the way it should be, but she gives him as good as she gets, retorting quite logically that he should have thought well about the evils of Western culture before he decided to leave his homeland, and that she has been born a British woman perfectly entitled to the lifestyle of her choice.
ये माहौल, ये तहजीब, ये रस्म और रिवाज हमारे नहीं है बेटी।
अगर ये तहजीब इतनी ही बुरी है तो इसे अपनाने आप यहाँ क्यों आए थे? और अगर अब भी नफरत है तो यहाँ से चले क्यों नहीं जाते? This is my country. I belong here.
Meanwhile, Nadeem's friend Jimmy has an eye for Momi, but her skin crawls at the very sight of him, and she prefers the company of Bobby, her hippie friend, and together they are regulars at a trendy place called the Coggies Bar, not so far from Stringfellows, Imran Khan's regular hangout from exactly the same era. But while Imran Khan found redemption, Momi's adherence to her immoral Western lifestyle eventually brings down her dreaded downfall, and she finds Bobby and his hippie cohorts ready to prey on her like hungry, malicious wolves given the slightest opportunity, and it comes knocking sooner than she thinks.
Hello? Bobby, how are you? Yes, I'm free tonight. We'll have a jolly good time. At Coggies Bar? Okay, bye.
मम्मी, मैंने तुम्हें बॉबी से मिलने को मना किया है।
So what?
वो अच्छा आदमी नहीं है।
He's a jolly good fellow.
मेरी समझ में नहीं आता कि तुम इतने गंदे हिप्पियों के साथ बैठती कैसे हो, तुम्हें गिन नहीं आती।
हिप्पिज्म पुरानी जनरेशन के खिलाफ यंग जनरेशन की रिवोल्ट है, पुराने वैल्यूज के खिलाफ एक प्रोटेस्ट है। They say make love, not war.
मम्मी, तुम उससे नहीं मिलोगी।
It's none of your business.
मुझे मालूम था जिस रास्ते पर ये जा रही है उसका अंजाम अच्छा नहीं है। आंखों से अपनी गैरत को सरे बाजार नाचते देखा, बेटी को गैरों की बाहों में देखा, वो सब कुछ देखा जो एक मशरकी बाप के लिए नाकाबिले बर्दाश्त था। और कितनी मासूम लड़कियां मुमताज से मोमी बनकर इस तहजीब के कुर्बानगाह की भेंट चढ़ जाएंगी। और अपने वतन लौट जाओ, चले जाओ यहाँ से।
Inevitably, lessons are learned by one and all, and everyone soon realizes that there's no place like home, and soon enough, there is a mass exodus, including the reformed playboy and his beautiful wife, from Britain back to Pakistan, heaven on earth, the land of purity and virtue, and it all works out, everyone saved from the debauchery and the immorality of Western civilization. And now to the question of, is the film any good? Well, commercially it scored a Golden Jubilee, which translates to a 50-week theatrical run in local parlance. In this case, 54 weeks, which would suggest a cinematic run of just over a year, but that's far from the truth, as in Pakistan, weeks are multiplied by the number of cinemas the movie is screened at. And so a movie such as Playboy would have opened at around 20-odd cinemas, and after a week it would have already achieved 20-odd weeks, and therefore it's safe to assume that the film ran for about 6 weeks or so, which in Pakistan is just about average despite the Golden Jubilee label. But that still doesn't answer the question of if it was any good though. Yes, it was reasonably entertaining, especially due to the scenes involving the wayward Momi and her father and her hippie friends at Coggy's Bar, which was most definitely London by the way of Bari or Avenue Studios in Lahore, judging by the typical Desi movie set design and rather displaced hippies employed to dance to a disco beat, ever so slightly echoing the sounds of Donna Summer's I Feel Love. Hippies are the main source of evil in the movie, which is remarkable as they were hardly in existence by 1977. Most of the nasties in the movie resemble backpackers on the hashish and ganja trail of the Hindu Kush, doubling as extras for the movie. It's entertaining enough for a movie aimed quite squarely at the lowest common denominator among the Pakistani movie audiences. It was, however, distastefully skewered in its vision of the depiction, and vilification of everything Western was obnoxious to the extreme, especially Mr. Beg's exhortations about his daughter's blood being literally contaminated by her British mother. The film's pretty nasty vilification of the West and its value system, and suggestions that everything about Pakistan and its own culture and values are wholly morally superior, have to be taken with a huge lump of salt, as the truth is that most Pakistanis risk their lives to this day seeking justice, freedom, liberty, and to be free of corruption and discrimination that is so rampant and a part of the Pakistani experience. To suggest otherwise is pure dishonesty, even if it makes for good box office. Shami Mara and Playboy's glorification of Pakistani righteousness and celestial morality and demonization of the West is utterly crass and dishonest, and to the point of idiocy, and is fairly offensive on an intellectual level. But then Playboy isn't a film that is meant to appeal to the cerebral or to the politically balanced in any sort of way. The film presents a total lie as being reality. Yes, there are positives and negatives about both East and West, but in the world of Playboy, it's all black and white with no grey at all. Western civilization is vile in every way and bound for doom, while Eastern civilization is heaven, with the resounding message being the famous line, line from The Wizard of Oz, "There's no place like home." To be fair to Playboy, it isn't alone in this skewered depiction of reality. This West bashing is a fully developed genre in both India and Pakistan, which has proved bountiful box office for years and continues to do so. However removed from reality it might well be. The actors perform their roles adequately, with Nadeem his dependable and understated self, and Barbara Sharif comfortably transitioning from her bad girl image of the early years to a more traditional, if feisty, leading lady. She would go on to dominate Pakistani cinema for many years to come. Nanna, the comedian, provides some usual comic relief with his quips, and Talish, a seasoned veteran, does his thing with ease. Asif Raza Mir, son of one of Pakistan's finest cinematographers, shows confidence in his first role, while Nadia makes for a memorable lost and wayward tramp, but evidently lacked the oomph, and her career flagged and failed to take off despite the juicy role. M. Ashraf's score is not one of his best efforts, but Nahid Akhtar's Never Mind number is memorable, especially for her mimicking Donna Summer to the point of silliness and perhaps even copyright violation levels towards the end of the song. So all in all, Playboy still manages to entertain despite being a slice of nasty propaganda with a completely skewered and false sense of the truth. But then this kind of movie is blatantly trying to appeal to its audience by attempting to hit all the feel-good factor buttons, even if it's a gross misrepresentation of facts. Let's just say Leni Riefenstahl may well have approved of Playboy in substance, if not style. What the film does offer for film historians is a genre of Pakistani cinema that many would consider a positive statement and an effort at nation building, despite its woefully unbalanced views and ridiculous bias. Pakistan may be a lot of wonderful things, but for the vast majority, a bed of roses it ain't. As we all know, there's good and evil all over the world, whether it be in the West or to the East, and indeed in Pakistan as well. And to suggest that everything in Pakistan is heavenly and celestial is perhaps stretching things a little bit too far. But Playboy, on the whole, without being brilliant, is, it passes the time fairly entertainingly. And with this, we come to the end of the very first podcast of Society Girls Saves the Day, and I hope you'll be able to join us again in a fortnight's time. Until then, please stay safe. Bye-bye.